Good morning, YouTube. My name is Tyler Self. Today, I'm gonna be bringing y'all a quick little video. Well, it probably won't be quick. It's gonna be probably pretty extensive. So if you're listening to this, if you're driving to your next house, if you're on the treadmill, just listen to this. I'm gonna try to, spread my journey and explain my journey in this lawn care, landscaping, and just entrepreneurship in general. How did I get started? How did I figure out that I want to be in business for myself? And I'm just gonna go through the whole journey real quick with y'all. If y'all would like to share your stories, your kind of intro to entrepreneurship journeys yourselves, go for it. But first of all, who am I, right? My name again is Tyler, or I mainly go by Ty, so Ty Self. And currently I am 21 years old as of making this video. It is near October of 2020, and man, what a year it has been. A lot of crap has happened. A lot of good has happened for me personally. Also a lot of kind of craziness. This is the best way I can know to really put it. How did I get into the whole concept, the whal mindset of entrepreneurship? It didn't just happen, right? I know there's a lot of people that are like, you just have the entrepreneurial gene, right? People say that literally it's like a gene that you have in your brain, that you just don't operate your day-to-day lives in the same way that these other people do, right? A little backstory on me: I am a huge artsy person. What I mean by that is, I've had a lot of history in doing various types of artistic outlets. So for example, when I was 13 years old, when I was about 12, 13, I actually took a course at my local community college on Adobe Photoshop. And I was very, very interested and kind of passionate about graphic design and designing things for people. I would make YouTube videos. I have very old YouTube channels where I literally recorded my screen of me making different projects, me making things. It could be a YouTube background. It could be a, social media rebrand that I was doing for people. It could be logo designs that I made for companies, right? I would do all this stuff for people, and I would literally charge, I charge people $1 for, a freaking YouTube background. And I was 12 years old, guys. I was literally 12 years old. So that was really my first kind of exposure to the whole entrepreneurship mindset. Was I can provide something of value, I can create something, and I can make money from it. Guys, it's crazy. Another thing that I did through YouTube, and I still have the channel activated somewhere, I was making gaming videos, like gaming YouTube videos. And for a while, it actually served as a source of income. Not a large one by any means. I only had about 1,000 subscribers, right? I had very, very low subscribers. I was getting probably 200 or 300 views a video. And at the time, that was when these MCNs, basically like all these different companies where you would get a partnership. You would get a YouTube partnership. And of course, YouTube's done away with those now. As you know, now the only way that you really make money, I believe, is through the monetization. But yeah, so I made literally at one point, I think that the highlight that I had made on that YouTube channel was probably $10 a month. $10 a month from making videos of me playing video games with my friends, where I would just talk over the gameplay about just totally random stuff. And I thought that that was the coolest thing in the whole freaking world, right? I thought it was crazy. There was also a point where I went to some different websites where you can sell different promotional services for people. And, I had an online store where I was promoting social media marketing services. I'd have a service like grow your Instagram by 1,000 followers or something like that. I would charge people $3, and I would go online. I had different forums, different methods that I was using to generate followers. Keep in mind, about this time, I'm like 14, 15, maybe years old. I'm in high school. I'm also working part-time at I think I was working at Chick-fil-A at the time. I'll get into that a little bit later. But the whole key to this that I'm trying to kind of show you guys is I was providing what? I was providing a value, a service that people were wanting. People wanted Instagram followers. People wanted graphic designs. I also got into, I had a little bit there, and I still do this to this day, where I got seriously heavily into actual music production. I would make pretty much rap and hip hop beats. There would be a link in the description where people could buy that beat. They could buy the rights to that piece of music. I've sold probably 3 or 4 different beats that I had made, like for exclusive rights. Keep in mind, again, while I'm doing all of this extra stuff, this was considered my side hustle. I'm not gonna say I made a freaking $1 million or anything like that, but I didn't make $1 million, but I made money. And it was awesome. I enjoyed it. That's the key distinguisher. I enjoyed what I was doing, and I was actually making money from it. Not significant money by any means. You gotta consistently stick to whatever you're trying to do, right? That's why it's called a hustle. You hustle for it. You don't just do it one time and expect things to be different. You work for it, you hustle, you grind. And at some point, your hard work starts to flip the other way, and you start to really kind of see the fruits of your labor. All right, so those were all ways that I made money when I was a kid. I was literally in high school making this money, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And that was really what shaped my whole vision about what I wanted to kind of do with my life. Growing up in the school system where, you know, I was always taught a very, very, very narrow, specific mindset of once you graduate high school, you do what? You go to college, you do 4 years of study. If you don't do 4 years of study and get your bachelor's degree, you're not gonna make it anywhere. That was the whole kind of pressure that had been crippling me. And I was terrified. I was terrified because of the way that I felt. I felt like I didn't wanna go to school. I felt like it was a waste of time. Like I didn't need school. I thought, you know, there has to be something better for me out there. A lot of people, they just choose the easy route. I'm not saying college is necessarily the easy route, but I definitely don't subscribe to the whole, you know, you have to go to school to be successful propaganda. If y'all have ever read like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about how, you know, going through school, the school system is corrupt and all this, and he talks about how at some point, it's interesting how all these C students, all these people who literally, some of them didn't even graduate, right? They dropped out of school, and they are employing the A students. I read that book, and I remember it was just like insanity to me. I couldn't fathom how kind of crazy that this was. These failures by the standards of the school system, these people who were told by their teachers, you will never amount to anything. Those same people, they didn't listen to the haters. They didn't listen to the people who shot them down. They made something of their lives. They went from nothing and created something. Think of Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, these people who created all of these amazing companies and products, these innovators, these entrepreneurs. I was fascinated by that. The school system itself was not the only kind of thing that I was struggling with mentally. I was really struggling also too with just the whole concept of working for someone. Now, when I was 15 years old, I got my very first job, which was a part-time job at the restaurant Chick-fil-A. I'm not trying to bad talk Chick-fil-A at all by any means, but I had a rough experience with the leadership, with the management, the people I was supposed to look up to. I was borderline working full-time, right? I was working probably somewhere between 30 and 40 hours a week, on top of me being a full-time high school student, trying to keep my grades up. That was hard enough because I didn't care about school. I just never did. I knew I wasn't gonna use this. I knew I wouldn't need this. What happened was, I pretty much asked my leadership, I said, hey, you know, I'm about to be a senior. I really need to focus on my grades. I need to graduate. Is there any way I can get less hours? I feel like I'm not really spending enough time with my family. I literally just don't have time for anything. It's like I eat, sleep, breathe, and work and do school. That was basically my life. I didn't have time to hang out with my friends. I didn't have time to spend with my family. I remember there was literally about a 2-week period where I didn't even say anything to my parents. I lived in the same house. I didn't say a word to them because by the time I got home, it was 11 o'clock at night. I went straight from school to work, and you know, I'd get home 11:30 at night, and I was miserable. And I wasn't even making good money. I was making about $10 an hour, which at the time was minimum wage. Chick-fil-A had literally told me, they said, you need to choose between your family. They literally told me this. They said, you need to choose your priorities. Do you want to work here? Do you want to make money? Or do you want to spend time with your family? And you know what I chose? On the spot. I said, thank you for my employment here. I'm grateful, but you told me I need to prioritize. That's what I'm going to do. You need to find someone else. And I quit. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. That was the point where I really kind of realized I don't ever want to work for someone. So a couple years go by, I'm working through all these random jobs. I worked in a factory for a little while where I was making literally $21 an hour, which for me, I was 18 years old, right? That was freaking awesome. That was the best money I'd ever made my whole life at that point. 18 years old, fresh out of high school, making $21 an hour. I was utterly depressed and miserable, unsatisfied with my life and the way that it was going. I had all this money. I had about $10,000 in my savings, but I had nothing to show for it. I was utterly depressed. I couldn't figure out why. I was like, I've made it. I had my dream car, which at the time was my Ford Mustang. I was trapped in this illusion that so many other people in this world have, where they're like, oh, I have a nice car, I have a nice house, I made it. I don't need to work anymore. Yet again, feeling trapped, feeling depressed, feeling discouraged and angry because I had nothing to show for my hard work. Not to mention, if I got fired, that's it, I'm screwed. I had all of my money, all of my income was coming from the factory. And there was another point where I worked at a church doing, now this is really my first exposure to lawn care and landscaping. I worked at a gym for a little while, of course. You know, I was just working at the desk, checking people in and out. That was a really relaxed job. I really liked it. I was able to spend a lot of time doing things that I sort of wanted to do. I was taking some college classes at the time. It was just really relaxed in general. Now, my first real exposure into the whole lawn care landscaping industry, I got a job, a full-time job for the summer. It was a seasonal position where I was working 40 hours a week doing lawn care and landscaping. I was just mowing for my church and I was making like $9-10 an hour. But at that point, I was just so depressed. I was so in need of a change that I was willing to do anything. And that was just an opportunity that God presented to me, and I took it. And I actually worked there for two years, all the way until I went to basic training last year about this time. Because last year, October 21st, I shipped off to basic training. That was where I really grew an appreciation and a love for helping people. Because I would see the people on the church campus. They would come onto the grass that I had just mowed. They would put out picnic tables. It was really sort of rewarding and fulfilling for me to see the rewards of my labors, which was, I wasn't getting paid hardly anything, but I felt so fulfilled, so much more fulfilled. I felt like I was creating a value for people. I felt like I was actually impacting people, because people were actually enjoying my work. They were enjoying the art that I was creating. You know, that might be a kind of weird way to view it, right? Like, oh, mowing is an art. No, that's stupid, right? But for me, in my mindset, it really was. And that right there helped me discover my passion, which is helping people. That's why I enlisted in the military, with that same sort of passion in mind of I want to make an impact. I want to help people, because that is my true passion in life. If I'm creating an impact, if I'm helping people in any way, that's how I find my fulfillment. That's how I find my purpose in this life. That's what I discovered, and it took me years and years and years to find that out. It took me going to terrible jobs where I was actually making incredible money, but I was so depressed and I couldn't figure out why, until that day where I saw those people with their picnic tables. They laid out their blanket, they had their basket, the whole thing, right? One thing that I was taught when I was working at the church was I was taught the value of putting people first, putting people above your own needs, right? There would be parking lots at the church that would, you know, if there was a terrible storm that happened, there would be tree branches all over the place, there'd be leaves. Before a big church service, we would go out in the rain with our backpack blowers. We would blow them off because we believed that if we made the church beautiful, it would invite people onto the campus. It would, if people saw our campus and it was beautiful, they would want to go. And it just really shaped my mind of the whole concept of getting to work versus having to work. And what are you working for? Do you have a reason for what you're doing other than I want to make money, I want to provide for my family? The work itself wasn't terribly hard. It was something that doesn't require a degree, doesn't require anything, and I enjoyed it. I love being outside. It's so nice, especially now coming into fall, you know, the leaves are starting to fall down and it's just awesome. That was my first exposure into lawn care landscaping. And part of that second year I was at the church, I had also invested some of the money I made from the factory I was working in. I invested in a trailer. I got really good commercial grade weed eaters and blowers. And I've seen all these startup stories where people say they literally started with like a $500 setup where they didn't even have a trailer. They would put a push mower in the back of their truck. And that's why I've just felt so kind of blessed, because I had enough money saved up because of the stupid factory I was working at, where I was able to actually get some good equipment. And I've had some stuff happen this first year in business where I've had, like, I had a weed eater stolen, stuff has fallen off of my trailer that I've had to replace. That's $400, man. Like, it's crazy. Taking a $400 hit, that was pretty rough for me, but I didn't want to go straight into it full time because I didn't really know how. So I started doing research into YouTube. I started looking into some online forums where people are talking. I started talking to even people in my service area who are doing this full time. And you know, I've met so many great people along the way. I've met a guy from Modern Ozark Landscapes. I met the owner of that company, and that's a pretty big landscaping company. You know what he said? He said, hey man, you ever need a subcontractor, if somebody's asking for something that you don't know how to do, he said, here's my card, call me, I'll let you come out on the job. I'll take a pretty big percentage of the cut, obviously, but I'll show you how we're doing it, right? And just an awesome guy. But anyway, I went to basic training. I came back, I think February, late February, early March was when I got back from my basic training and my AIT, my advanced individual training through the United States military. Actually, it worked out perfectly. God has a plan for everything, right? And I came back just in time for me to start the season, because the grass was just ready for the first scalping. So what I did was I started marketing on Facebook. I started posting stuff on my Facebook page like, hey, do you know anyone looking for lawn care services? I started looking on some various apps like the neighborhood app. I started looking on there, and people would start calling my phone. And I was so confused. I was like, how are people just calling me? I'm putting in very minimal efforts here, but it just felt like God was blessing me. Like God was giving me the opportunity to really test the waters. I was getting calls from all over Northwest Arkansas, which this whole first season, it was really sort of an experimental season. It was a chance for me to see what type of yards I like to do, what kind of price ranges. I had heard some podcasts like Mike Andes. I listen to his podcast almost on a daily basis, even to this day. Brian Fullerton, you know, Brian's all about route density, and I didn't really do that this whole first season. I'm planning to do that next season for sure, but Mike Andes, he told me very important, you know, to know your numbers, and everybody talks about that. It's this oversaturated thing at this point, but he was the first person I really heard talk about that, right? Part of knowing your numbers is knowing your worth and your value. He's big on sort of promoting value instead of just getting a huge quantity of customers. I would rather have 10 customers who are ultra mega profitable than 20 who are subpar, you know? That whole mindset was really helpful for me being able to time myself, check my numbers, make sure that I'm, you know, kind of reaching my goal. There would be some where I would be a little bit over, and, you know, I've learned along the way, there were some jobs where the biggest problem I had where I was undervaluing myself, right? Like I was sort of, especially those first probably 10 or 15 customers that I had, I was like, okay, I just need to make a sale. So yeah, I'll do your yard for friggin' 30 bucks, even though it's taken me about 40 or 50 minutes. And what I had to do with those people, I had to either raise their price or let them go. It's a learning process. And that's what I love about this whole entrepreneurship journey. It's not like you just go to a job and you're told what to do, when to do it, how to think, literally like a robot. And I didn't want to be like that. I wanted freedom to make my decisions and actually serve people the way that I want to serve them. And I'm able to do that now. Y'all, this video has gone on super long, but if you guys are still watching this, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to sort of my story, right? I've got some fun videos planned for the future. I've got some equipment videos. I know everybody likes equipment. I've got some really interesting videos planned for the future. So if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like the video for the YouTube algorithm, and I will see you guys in the next video. This has been Ty Self, the Yard Guard, Northwest Arkansas. I will see y'all later.